This video will walk through the literacy flowchart for 2nd and 3rd grades that can assist district MTSS teams and school MTSS teams to create a standard protocol for interventions. The flowchart is available in PDF for download. The first steps in developing a standard protocol for interventions in early literacy are to determine your intervention matrix and your intervention entry rules. The intervention matrix refers to developing and defining the actual intervention. What curriculum and practices will be used, what staff will provide the intervention, when and where will it take place, and other similar questions regarding the environment, curriculum, instruction, and intensification of the intervention. When developing the intervention matrix, you might like to use the intervention matrix documents found in the Moodle course. You will see on the flowchart that for 2nd and 3rd grades, it is recommended that 2 intervention protocols be developed. An intervention focusing more on word level reading, this protocol would address basic and advanced phonics, spelling and fluency, and another protocol that would focus on fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. The intervention entry rule refers to the decisions and scores on assessments that will warrant individual students entering an intervention. When developing the intervention entry rules, the district and school MTSS teams will need to examine the universal screening system, including the assessments that will determine student need for intervention and the capacity of the system or school to support students in the intervention. Several tools in our MTSS course will help with this step, including the Intervention Resource Planning tool and resources associated with building a universal screening system. Once the universal screening system, intervention matrix, and entry rules are defined, the next step is to complete the universal screening. When we are looking at literacy in 2nd and 3rd grades, it's important to pay specific attention to reading accuracy and then reading rate. Our schools have access to Dibble's measures for 2nd and 3rd grades, which do a very nice job of assessing these key indicators associated with proficiency in reading. The next layer is one we've discussed quite a bit when building an MTSS, which is to analyze the screening data at the grade level. It will be important to first look at the grade level before we look at individual class or individual student information to assist in determining if core instruction in the area of early literacy is sufficient to meet the needs of our students. If less than 80% of our students are meeting the threshold, then before moving to an intervention, or at the same time as moving to an intervention, it will be imperative that the school team, possibly with the assistance from the district, examine how to intensify instruction for all students in the area of reading and literacy. If we need to intensify work on core instruction, there will always still be students requiring intervention. During this step, with the Dibble's measures, we want to look not only at the individual performance on the overall composite score, but examine the measures of oral reading fluency for accuracy and rate, or words correct. If students aren't showing need in either of these 2 measures, then it's likely that those students will only require core instruction. For each of these steps, we of course want the professional judgment of the teacher to assist in the final decision making. For the group of students who fall below or well below benchmark on the composite and or the DORF accuracy or DORF words correct, then the next step is to take a closer look to find the students who are demonstrating need in accuracy, sometimes known as word level reading. With the confirmation of the teacher, these students are most likely to benefit from a supplemental intervention program or protocol that was defined way back in our first frame that focuses on basic and advanced phonics, spelling, and incorporates fluency. You will note that thus far we haven't mentioned any additional diagnostic testing to identify this group of students. In a standard protocol, we would match the students to the intervention, give time for the students to respond, determine the group and individual response before we really need to pay attention to the note here, which indicates possible additional assessment. When we progress monitor students in this group, we will pay specific attention to measures of accuracy and set goals based on desired accuracy. This may be quite different if you are in the habit of administering diagnostic assessments to lots of students. So we would obviously recommend having discussions with your district and school MTSS teams before changing any current practice. So to summarize, so far, we've looked at screening scores for individual students. We've identified a group of students who did not fall below our intervention entry rule and confirmed that they will continue to receive differentiated core instruction. We've looked at screening scores and identified a second group of students who are demonstrating need in the area of accuracy. We've confirmed and placed them in an intervention. Now we will look at a group of students who demonstrate some need for intervention, but not in the area of accuracy or word reading. For this group of students, we will examine the oral reading fluency score for words correct, or rate. If there are students who don't meet the intervention entry rule for accuracy or rate, these students will likely respond to differentiated core as we pay close attention to growth in vocabulary and comprehension. For students who are showing need in rate but not accuracy, that screening profile best indicates a match in intervention in a protocol that combines instruction in fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. As always, we would monitor the group of students and individual students, paying close attention to measures of rate to ensure the intervention is accelerating the progress of those students. Ideally, this entire process takes place each time you screen all students, so we are constantly analyzing and responding to the needs in core, as well as providing supplemental intervention to those who require it. As you can see, to implement this type of intervention system, it will take quite a bit of planning, coordination, and support from both the district MTSS team and the school MTSS teams.